Alright, welcome back to Satisfactory, and we're in the menu screen first because we're at 1.1. I was kind of hoping to finish before 1.1 dropped just in case it made any significant changes, but from what I can tell, there's not really anything that's going to affect my gameplay, so it should be fine. They have changed the menu screen, which is cool. What used to be just something really rudimentary, and now we've got this big setup with like conveyor walls and stuff. Anyway, let's jump on in. We're at 93.5 hours basically, and we'll see how quickly we can finish this. I think I had the feeling at the end of the last episode that it was maybe just another 2-3 streams. First, as is always the way, I have to remind myself, what was I even doing? We've got a milestone, but I can't remember if that was a milestone that actually gave me anything that I care about. Peak efficiency. No, not really, because I don't think I need that for anything. So that's just there, but I'm not going to put too much effort into it. We're halfway through researching a hard drive. Right, what else are we up to? Those are finished. You are making engines. And are we tuned on smart plating? Because if so, we're on the final push for engines. We also have turbo motors over here. You're churning through. Oh, last radio control unit for you. Interesting. Is that all I need? That's an interesting number. 220. Huh. Well, I guess we'll find out whether that is all that we need. We'll leave them there for now, but I can't remember if I needed more. 220 feels like a strange number. We might need more radio control units, but we have to do that after we've finished the engines, I think, now. Alright, so the next thing to look at is part 3, because I believe part 2 we're pretty much on top of. Part 2 was this, and I think we were done with that. Yeah, I think we were done. Yes, it says 1,000 out of 1,000. Maybe I should read the user interface. So that's cool. AI expansion servers. This is the next thing to look at. So we needed 128 of those and those, I think, to then make double with that. So we want to do 128 of those, which means if we're doubling them, we'll only need 64 supercomputers. We should have plenty down here. Yep, good. I remember grabbing 64 of these out for some reason. Maybe it was for some other purpose. I can't remember now. Has that number already been necessary for something else? Perhaps. And then the time crystals are over here anyway, so we take our express hypertube, where we get a couple of insights through the world. So you are the quantum thing that's making crystal oscillators still. Not crystal oscillators, superposition oscillators. But we have a bunch of you already. 106? Ah, we need 128. Okay, so we still need to let you run for a little bit longer. So how many more cycles do we need? Each one is 50 seconds. Everything's so noisy. 108, 20, so 10 more cycles. Okay. 500 seconds. That's what? 4 minutes? No, 8 minutes. Okay. Well, for now, we could put these in here, perhaps. And let's actually split it out so that it's exactly the right number there. And I'll keep the other 3 on me. Or indeed stick them into storage, probably. You are churning through and making tons of trigons, which is great. And then we were going to need 320 time crystals. Not a problem. The sooner you get things started, the sooner you can get a backlog going. Which is kind of handy. And those we can stick in the aluminium container for now. We actually want it like that, I think, because it will come out there, usually. Goes into the left, out to the right. Fairly sure. We'll wait and see once this finishes. Almost done. And then the conveyor belts will start moving along. Although I don't want to make all of the rest of these, that's right. That's the other problem, is I don't actually want to make all of these. I only needed 20 more. I guess if I just run off and just leave it to it, then... If I just swap these around now... Just have the time crystals start going in and they'll just get blocked at a certain point. These will run down, and then I can just come and swap things out manually. And we've got the supercomputers that will be ready to get queued, and it'll start running down on the oscillators. And what was the other thing that I'd be using? Ah, just trigons. Okay, not a problem. And it'll be 320 times 3 of those, so 960 of those. Cool. Cool, so that's our quantum mechanics area straightened out. Now, what was it that we needed for our warp drives? We were working on engines so that we could create these again. Yes, that is what we needed the turbo motors for. Right. Ah, we also are going to need singularity cells. And that we needed more nuclear pasta, and we are going to need more superposition oscillators for that. Right. And it's a 2-to-1, which becomes a 2-to-2. So we're going to need 200 of those. So, and 200 of those times 50 seconds is quite a lot, I believe. 4,000 seconds? What's that in minutes? I can't remember. I can't think. It's fine. It'll take a while, but we've got everything pretty much under control. It's just going to take a while to get there. That's pretty much what we expect. We can do a little bit more exploration, though, if we feel like it. The thermal propulsion rockets is the thing we'll need after that. So I'm assuming that we're making all of the engines that we need. At a certain point, we're just going to have to come back and see how things have gone and whether or not we've got what we need. For now, I think we go more Somersloop hunting, perhaps? We could also play around more with the like nuclear and plutonium and all of that sort of stuff that we've got around this kind of radioactive sink in the middle here. But I'm not sure I care, to be perfectly honest with you. Because I'm not needing that amount of power at the moment, and I don't think I need to expand anything to make stuff happen is the other thing. I guess I could. I could start working some things in parallel, like I don't need to wait until these finish entirely making the engines before I start making the other things, necessarily, for example. I guess that would help because it's quite a multi-step process to get there. Where would be a good place for another manufactory? Probably over here. I keep pressing B to build, but of course it's Q because that makes sense. Manufactory. Manufacturer. Why do I keep calling it a manufactory? What is wrong with me? Anyway, don't answer that. We don't have time. It means I've got to put in a bunch more like containers and stuff as well to feed it. So that's all annoying, of course, but whatever. Yeah, let's just put that there. And then got to remember to offset them a little bit. I guess otherwise we could do like stacks and have them going from the top. Maybe that's easier. We do it like that. And just have 2 lots of 2. It becomes more annoying to fill them out, but then we can just do like... Oh, conveyor belt's too steep to do that? Really? That's annoying. Well, then I guess you put a lifter on, don't you? Oh, it's because these are elevated anyway, aren't they? Oh, then it says invalid shape. Crying aloud. Okay, that's not going to work then. Never mind. Let's just splay it out like this instead. It's on a hill, doesn't help. There we go. Okay, and then we just connect all of these up. So you, thermal propulsion rockets, Somersloop, overclock. That was probably excessive, but... And then if it's 2 to 4 for things like the modular engines... Well, for the turbo motors, rather. How many did we need? Thermal propulsion rockets? We only needed 100, I think. Yeah, we only need 100 of those. This would be 1 to 2. So if we only need 100 of those, that means we only need 25 cycles. Really? Do I have any of these left over as well? Sometimes I have some spares. I do. So it's only 24 cycles. So that's only 24 turbo motors. Okay. And what was it for the cooling systems? Because I have a bunch of those over here too. 6. Okay. 6 times 24 is 124, I think. No, a bit more. I mean, it's less than 200, so we'll just grab that. We'll tune it based on these. And then we'll grab what engines we currently have, which is over 100 anyway, so honestly we're probably almost at the point that we didn't need to do this. But let's get that going. With that, a bunch of those, and then some fused modular frames. Okay, that's the annoying one. But we only need 24 of those as well, I think. So that's fine. Do I have some in here still? I do. There we go. We just stick 25 in, and that should work. And then we need to power the damn thing. And we have power right there. So cool. Do that. And then we'll just stick a container down somewhere around here, under the tree. Lovely. There we go. And every minute we're going to make 4 of those. Oh, I'm only doing 2 to start with. That's annoying. I forgot about how that works when you first Soma Sloop it. It doesn't kick in for the first one. I feel that should immediately take effect. It hadn't made anything in the past, so whatever. I think that's fine in terms of what we need. Wait, now we have more smart plating in here? Oh, we were like alternating with the motors, right. Okay, yes, we're not even halfway done because we were doing it like that. Right, we tuned it quite well, it turns out. But as you churn away and make more of those engines, then we can start feeding those in. So, you know, we've got something operating in parallel. We could also do the same thing with the quantum stuff. But then we're making a lot more dark matter energy, and I think that isn't such a good thing. We just have so much of that banking up. Right, ma'am. What do we got here? Electrode circuit board. Simply just rubber and petroleum coke. Okay, well, it's something to use that for, I guess. But that's weird. And leached deuterium ingot. We'll rescan that. Cooling device or electromagnetic connection rod. What is this normally? So 24 instead of 25 nitrogen. And a motor instead of rubber and water. And more heat sinks. Can you make fewer per minute? That just seems worse in every way. That said, this doesn't seem much better. Use a high-speed connector instead of an AI limiter. Okay, no, that's fine. Yes. Well, we'll take that one. I don't think it's very useful, but we'll take it. And then this needed 50 quantum singularity things. Quartz needed... Oh, that's new. Material resonance screening. Oh, that's the priority merger. Right, so they added that, but there isn't a priority splitter. But then when I was looking up about that, apparently that's something you can do with programmable splitters, and I just haven't discovered it yet. So that's kind of on me. So priority merge, so I just need 10 more... Where have I got those? Here? Yeah. 10 more of those. Let's just grab them. We may as well deal with that right now.
Priority merger unlocked. Useful for prioritizing between inputs to avoid eventual stoppage. If you have an issue with stoppage somewhere else, consult a physician instead.
Usually the stoppages I get are because of things backing up from splitting, not merging. So, yeah, don't know. I think maybe other people do their factories very different than me, which wouldn't surprise me. So rocket fuel is the next thing to look at, and that means I just need to make a bunch of empty fluid tanks, and that just uses some aluminium. So I think we go to our aluminium base and siphon off a bit of production there just for the sake of it. So what are we doing over here now anyway? You're inert, because you don't have any heavy modular frames. You're also inert because you don't have any rubber, but we've got plenty of cooling systems anyway. We're pretty much just at a standstill over here. Oh, there's soma sloops just chilling in here that we're not using. I think we'll just yank those then. And we already yanked those because you were finished. Okay. That's just a bunch of capacity that we're not using then. That's fine. That was using 1,000 megawatts too. Cool, well, freed up that capacity. Alright, well, aluminium base. We have plenty of sheets and casings, and now we're not even using casings as much as we were. So I think I can just siphon off some aluminium to make the canisters without it being too much of a problem. And I can't remember what I've got in my dimensional depot, but maybe we can mess around with those splitters about sending things to the sink if they back up. Not sure, but then also at this point we can probably just connect these up anyway, simply because we have lots, and that's like backed all the way up along those conveyor belts. Wait, and you're soma sloop for some reason. What? Why? Okay, whatever. So along here we want to swap. Or, you know what? Why don't we just not make casings and instead make fluid tanks with you? Why not? Right? Now I have some aluminium on me so I can make a few myself as well. You make 60 per minute. And what do we need for rocket fuel? I'm guessing it's a blender. Wait, where is it? Oh, we need it to... We need the MAM research first. Right. And then we can make it. Do we have a MAM over here still? No, we do not. So that's the casings we need. Let's drop down a MAM real quick. We didn't actually start a hard drive, so that's good. Sulfur. You. There we go. Rocket fuel. Start.
Rocket fuel unlocked. Pioneers will be able to use rocket fuel in the fuel generator and any vehicle that uses fuel, including the jetpack, with appropriate results. Warning: mixing rocket fuel into coffee does not enhance its energizing effect.
No, it would not. Okay, so rocket fuel, there appears to be an alternate recipe, which obviously we needed to get this far to be able to discover anyway. And then turbo fuel and nitric acid. Okay, so we need a... that's annoying. So we need a blender for nitric acid in order to be able to make rocket fuel with that. That's kind of annoying. So, oh, what are you? Raw quartz. Purity pure. Why are you yellow all of a sudden? What? And you as well. You're also yellow. Huh? I'm confused. Why are you like this? Weird visual bug from the overlay, I guess? Who knows? Anyway, we have compacted coal over here. Oh, there's nitrogen. Okay. So we could make nitrogen there. Or extract it from there. The annoying thing is having to pipe the gas a long distance. Especially with this elevation, it kind of goes up and then down again. That's annoying. Ah, there's also some over there, and that will just be downhill. Oh, it's a gas. That doesn't matter. That's right. Yeah, gases don't matter for that. we don't process it into the acid until we get over here, and then we have to worry about the fluid dynamics. So that would be okay. And then we've got, yeah, more crude oil nodes over here if we didn't want to disrupt our current process. But I guess the point is that if we're then making rocket fuel, we just use that in our generators, right? Why would we not? We don't need to keep any legacy stuff. Well, we may as well set a hard drive going in the meantime. I only need one more for the other stuff. So there are another couple of hundred containers we're going to need. So we want to head, what, southeast? No, we want to go all the way down there, actually. Which means we want to backtrack in order to take the hypertube that we've got from the quartz area. Right. In which case we may as well head back to base to check up on production and stuff. Because this is a side project. This is not our main focus. Whee! Into the wall. And these ways. Now we do actually now have hypertube junctions and stuff as well. That was one of the updates that could be useful. Apparently you can have branches that you then like cycle between while you're zooming along to determine which way you go. So that could be handy, but at the same time it's not, I mean, you still have to press the button to go the correct direction. So it doesn't really make much of a difference, that versus just choosing the next path after jumping out. So, not too bothered. So how are you going over here? This is our... yeah, you're almost full. And that's just because of the extra 18 that's coming off the side here. You guys use only 15, double overclocked. So that means that this is actually going to back up once this stops doing things, which I guess that isn't a problem. Then it's just going to be a case of the heavy oil residue will back up, so these won't produce as much, but that's fine because we're not even using them. Like, all of this is going to waste. Well, except for the plastic, I guess, but all the rubber, and that's all going nowhere. This is where we should probably be catching at least some of it. But then we've got rubber down there, and we've got some plastic at least being caught here. It's using 9 per minute. We're making 40. So that's always going to back up. So if I ever need a stack of plastic, which, you know, I could actually do that right now. Let's grab that out, stick that in here, and that'll just keep that going. Why not? Then we have old-fashioned fuel down the bottom here, I believe. Yeah, just OG fuel from the residue from the rubber down here. And that was originally our smokeless powder production. And we have another oil thing here, so instead of disrupting those, we can just plonk another one down here. And that'll be our turbo fuel production. Or we siphon off the 18 from here, actually, is probably a better idea. We know that we can support 18 coming off there. Or we also know that rocket fuel is going to be more effective than any of this, so we can shut down one of these and have 15 per minute coming off the side there. That could also work. We have quite a few options. First, we need to harness some nitrogen and bring it all the way around the lake, around or across the lake, simply to then make some nitric acid. Which we can do as soon as we hit the lake, I guess, but either way, it's a pipeline, whichever way I do it. Okay, so here's the nitrogen. So this we need to first have, what is it, the pressurizer? Oh, I need radio control units, and I don't have any on me. Ooh, I forgot to check. Okay, well that's on me. Let's bring you across here and go back to the hypertube. That was silly of me. Didn't even think. Well, I could just start running the pipelines regardless, couldn't I? Just from about this point. And we'll just run those across. So that way, as soon as I connect it up, it'll be running. And also, then I'll know if I need to get any more copper sheets. So let's start here and move our way down. So this will be a gas pipeline as opposed to fluid anyway. But even if it was fluid, that would be fine because we're kind of going downhill. Drop down here. Okay, and then we just want to go straight across the lake if we can. Maybe we'll stop off on the island on the way there. I assume we can just build under the lake. Yep. And then we can have it go up as far as... Can have it just touch on land at this point here. It's like a servicing area. Sort of thing that they do sometimes. And sploosh. Oh, and we can't build when we're in the water, of course. Somewhere over here. Right. So there's oil there. Do we already have water at some point? No, we have no water in this process, it seems. Okay. Well, we can have the turbo fuel come down. So then we don't need to worry about elevation. And we can just put some foundations over the water anyway, if we want to. For more stuff. We can also just put lifts and stuff on. It's not the end of the world. But you will probably want to have this kind of sidetracked. It's a little bit awkward because we don't really want to lose all of that power production. Actually, we can totally absorb that loss. That's the funny thing. Alright. So that turbo fuel is actually just going to come down and turn into rocket fuel first. Maybe this refinery just moves back a little bit and the output goes into the next one. You can even just go around the back and then in, like so. And then its output can just go straight into this network over here. Yeah, that could work. Turbo fuel, nitric acid, comes rocket fuel, and compacted coal as well, okay. Yeah, interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because then we're going to do ionized fuel off the back of that as well. Which means we need to put presumably one of those quantum things, like a converter, to make the excited particles, because I'm guessing that's what goes into ionized fuel. So we'd want that up here as well, somehow merging that with the rocket fuel, and then it'll actually come out this direction instead, I think. So that's interesting. So let's zoop a bunch of these. First it'll be to put a blender down. If we've got what we need for that. We do not. We need more aluminium casings. Seriously? I could have sworn that I had some of those in here. Alright, we definitely need to go back to base there. Okay, we've got our pipeline set up as far as this at least. So we'll be able to have our nitrogen gas come up here, which we first need to make the acid, and then the acid is going to go up there. So we want to have our water extractor. Yes, let's just do pipeline as far as this for the gas. And have it going underneath this pipeline if we can. No, it wants to go through. That's awkward. Well, then we can have the water extractor here anyway. And then it'll be blender, presumably, for those two, which I can't place yet again. Alright, let's go get some aluminium casings. Why do I even need that for a blender? Seriously? Whatever. And we need computers too. And ski jump. Okay, over here. So radio control units. Let's grab a bunch of these out. Let's actually just put them into the depot. Now we've got aluminium casings just sitting over here, right? Yeah, we've got tons of them here. Which means that they also need to go into the dimensional depot. How are you going? You have got another 100. That can be passed over here. You have run out of turbo motors. Wait. Huh? Am I just not getting this maths? 46. How many did I need? Thermal propulsion rockets. I think all of my maths was just wrong. It's 1 to 1, so I need, well, 1 to 2 eventually, so I need 100 of these. So we actually need 50 of the other things to make the 100, right? So let's just grab another 50 turbo motors out, shall we? Because why not? And we'll also just put some in here. So let's straighten this out. How are you going? You're just alternating motors and plating still. That's fine. Have 50 more of those. So that's another 25 iterations. Yeah, I was thinking, 25 iterations, but I was thinking of the actual number 25. That should make 100 of those now. So I think that, now I think I've put in too many, but I'd rather have too many. That's fine. Whatever. Let's go to our MAM and see what our hard drive has given us. Radio connection unit. Okay. So instead of casings, oscillators, and computers, we already have alternate radio control system, which is oscillators, circuit boards, casings, and rubber. That's the one I was doing, I think. But instead I could have this weird in-between one where it's quartz crystals, high-speed connectors, and heat sinks. What? Turbo diamonds. Alright, coal and turbo fuel. I mean, it would be a use for my turbo fuel to make turbo diamonds. Honestly, that could be handy. I don't really need that many of them, though. We'll rescan. Okay, now we have pink diamonds and petroleum diamonds. Oh, interesting, so that's made in a converter instead of a particle accelerator. That could be nice. And then petroleum diamonds goes from petroleum coke, presumably, yeah, of course. 30 per minute. What's our default? 30 per minute anyway. But it uses 20 coal. This would be 8 plus 3 quartz instead. Okay, I think the other one, the turbo one, was actually better. But, whatever. We passed that by.